I'm sure this was popular in the 90s, but it's time to upgrade to a more modern look. Watch me do it for under $125. For the construction of the conduit box, I'm using a fence board and some 1x2 pine. We bought 3 of these Westinghouse pendant lights from Amazon. They are adjustable mini pendant with a hand-blown clear seated glass globe. The cost of these lights were $33.99. I left a link below if you're interested. First, we're going to cut the 1x2s to size. We're going to cut these to 48 inches in length, and to do this, I'm going to use a compound miter saw on the rigid MS-UV. I did an unboxing of this in a previous video. Got a link below. I'm going to set the MS-UV extension arms and measure from the saw back to the end of the extension arm. The stand makes it easy and will ensure that all the pieces that I cut are the same exact length. I only have to measure once and cut all 3 pieces. Since I don't trust the sawmill trimming these pieces square, I'm going to cut off a small end of each board to ensure it is square. Then I simply slide the board to the end of the MS-UV extension arm and make the cut. I do this for both 1x2s and the fence board. I'm done with the rigid MS-UV miter saw stand. Time to move it out of the way. Man, I love this thing. Now that all the pieces are cut, it is time for us to put it together. We lay out the 1x2s and apply a bead of glue down each end. Next, we line up the fence board on top, checking it square, then nailing it down with a finishing nailer. Earlier we cut some 4-inch sections of the 1x2. We take these pieces and apply some glue to each end. Since the boards are a little warped, we use a clamp to clamp them down to ensure each ends are square. Once we are happy, we nail them in with the finishing nailer. Repeat the process on each end. Alright, we have all the nails started, so next we are going to clamp it all together and let it sit overnight to let the glue dry. And with the power of video editing, we're at the next day. Now we need to determine where to mount the lights. I marked the middle of the board and drew a line from the beginning to end to make sure I had the lights centered. I recommend drawing this out first, as I was kind of winging it. For me, I offset 2 of the lights 6 inches from each end and then placed one in the middle. Now all the pendant light locations are marked up. Thumbs up. We are going to start drilling the holes for the cables to run through the conduit box using a 3/8 inch drill bit. Next, I line up the hardware and mark the locations for mounting the pendant light wall covering by running the mounting screws and lightly tapping on the head of the screw to make a mark on the board. Using a 5/32 inch drill bit, I drill out the hardware mounting bolts. Now ignore that extra hole, that was a oops. Now it's time for sanding. First we start with 100 grit, then 150 grit, then we sand a little more, do a little 220 grit, and then we finally finish it off with some 400 grit sandpaper. Magic of video editing, 4 hours of sanding is completed. Now it's time to paint. We're going to paint this black using this new True Coat 360 sprayer I got from Graco. I got a link down below if you're interested. Alright, the paint's dried. We've applied a second coat and it's dried again, and it's time to mount these lights and install the conduit box. Now that all the pendant lights are installed to the conduit box, it's time to wire. I had some 12 gauge wire laying around, which is a little big, but it's what I had, so I made it work. I actually had to get new wire nuts because the wire nuts that came with it were too small. So I got these red wire nuts, which I had laying around, so it didn't really cost me anything. Now that I have all three wired together in series, I installed the wall anchors. And this is what's going to affix the conduit box to the ceiling. Now it's time to mount the entire light box to the ceiling. This is a kind of frustrating point. My wife and I struggled with it. The best way we found to do it was to get it installed with the wall anchors, and then once the wall anchors were installed and still loose, then wire up the mainline power to the rest of the lights. Once you're done connecting the mainline power, then you can go ahead, tuck it in. I used a power drill, threw in the wall anchors, and we are good to go. Voila, it is completed. Everything that we use, there's a link below if you want to actually purchase yourself and do this project for yourself. Thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe, and we see you again.